Hello Violas, this is a tutorial for the Waltz from Sleeping Beauty by Tchaikovsky, arranged by Leland Forsblad, and I'm going to take you through the viola part for this one. And the things that are tricky about this piece are the finger patterns and sometimes the rhythms. So we're going to kind of break both of those down for you as we go through it. And the parts that aren't as tricky, I'll just go ahead and play for you with a metronome set at concert tempo, which is quarter note equals 144. And I'm putting an accent on beat 1 of each measure, which is really important. And then we'll talk through the parts that are just a little bit tricky, and also go over a few just ideas for practicing them so that you can eventually work them up to tempo. So let's go ahead and first make sure that your viola is in tune. Play with me, and you should have your viola out for this. So if you don't have your viola out, go get your viola. Pause the video. Go get your viola, and then be ready to play with me, because we're gonna play a few things together. So let's play our A strings, D, G, and C. Now, if any of those didn't sound right, go ahead and pause it, go get your tuner, and tune your viola before you start. All right, here we go. So from the beginning, I'm going to go ahead and put the metronome on. The beginning is mostly just kind of a rhythmic challenge, but once you kind of figure out where the bow changes go and where the spaces go, it's not technically challenging. So this is one that if the reading of it is a little bit tricky, you should be able to get it just by listening. I'm going to put on my metronome, and again, this is 144 beats per minute for the quarter note. And then you can hear there is an accent on beat 1 of every measure. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, and. There. When you're playing the rest chunk, that's a very, very important rhythmic motive in the waltz. And so what you're adding there, although it's not challenging to play, just playing off of beat 1. So you're not playing on beat 1, but you're playing 2, 3. You're really punctuating the lighter beats of each measure, and that's what makes it sound like a waltz. Let's talk about finger patterns at 17. So low first finger here for both of those. So 2 D sharps, and then the next measure, measure 20, is D natural. So remember that sharp on the downbeat of 19 carries over to beat 3, and then the next measure would be natural either way, but they've put in a courtesy accidental to remind you of that. So that's a little chromatic accompanying line. Then E again. Make sure you're following the bowings. You have 2 up bows in a row in 21. That just keeps your bowing from getting backwards for an extended period of time. Okay, let's go ahead and put the metronome back on, and I'm going to start again at 17, and then I'll keep going. Watch the dynamics. This is forte here. Before we were piano, and we're going to be piano again when we get to 25. Here we go. 17 and 1, 2, 3. Stop it here because they actually have a wrong bowing in your part here. Measure 30 should be not up bow but down bow. So why don't you go ahead and take your pencil, and let's take your pencil. Let me find my pencil here. My pencil. Now here we have a spot where the bowing that is written in there really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. What they've printed, the printed bowing that they have, let's see, let's start at 28. It has an extra up bow in there. So it's up, 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 and you're going to run out of bow if you try to do that. So measure 30, that's a misprint. It should be a down bow in measure 30. So take that down bow sign and just turn it into, sorry, take the up bow sign and turn it into a down bow there at measure 30, and that'll make your bowing work out better. So starting at 25, or actually let's go 28, you've got, and then do take the extra up bow then. Now that figure there starting in measure 33, we call that a hemiola, because you are taking 2 measures of 3 and you're kind of turning it into a big 3. So one, rather than 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, what it sounds like is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you're taking 2 small 3s and turning it into a big 3, which we call hemiola. And you're really going to notice that when we put the metronome on. Okay? So let's go ahead and start at 25. Make sure that you're following that bowing that we changed. 1, 2, 3, 1. Here we go. Let's try that again. 2, 3, 1. Ready, go. Here's 33. Okay, so that's kind of how it goes. Now here, okay, so let's slow that one down. That's kind of a tricky little thing just because it's fast. Nothing super tricky about the fingering except you do have a high third finger. So, okay, so I would advise you slow that one down and do it a few times through. In fact, this would be a good one to kind of go through each time you practice this piece. Go through it a few times. And then eventually, nice and clean. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll start at 33. And we'll keep going. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. See what the dog wants. All right, I'm back. Let's see, where were we? Oh yes. So 55 and 56. Let's do that nice and slow. So there you could go. I would say do 3, 3. So moving it from C natural to C sharp, low 3 to high 3, and then 4, 3, 3, 4, 3. And then a high 3 again for the C sharp. So slow, 55 through 57. And these are marked staccato. So try and make them nice and crisp. Let's do that again. You play with me. 1 and 2 and 3. Let's do it again. 2 and 3. Okay, so I would do that really quite a few times at the slow tempo to just kind of get the fingers used to doing it and then start bumping up the tempo. Let's go through the next couple of spots. Measure 58, 2, and then. So nothing really super tricky there, just that you're playing nice and staccato, and it does go pretty quick. So let's do that whole thing starting at measure 55 at a slow tempo, and then we'll try it up to tempo. So 2, 3, 2, 3. Okay, good. And then once you get to 61, you are playing the melody in unison with the cellos. So right there, you're going to really make sure that you are getting the best tone you can on your C string. and that you're remembering to play F sharp, which is high third finger on the C string. Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to turn the metronome on and try it up to tempo, starting at 55. And 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Okay. All right. So that spot is actually more tricky to play on the viola where you're playing it than it is on the cello. They have a bit of shifting in there, but on the viola you really have to play low on the C string and try and get a good lyrical sound. So let's talk finger patterns. So we're starting at 61. High third finger. I would use fourth finger here. Now here, make sure you get your elbow really as far under as you can. That'll help your fingers really reach the notes and play them in tune on the C string. And then here, low first finger. And then bring the first finger back for the A. So here you can take that up bow anywhere, and they preferably not exactly on the beat of measure 68. It's a good idea if we stagger our bow changes so we don't all change bow in the same spot. That way we're not going to hear it as much. Continuing 69. High third, low third. And then there again. So A and then G sharp and then back to A. Okay, and then back down to the C string. Now watch this. So high third for the C sharp, open, low one, and then high one. So those are all half steps. And so from the high third, you just have to go up to like the half position, low one, and then regular one. So low one again, and then regular three. So no substitute to really just using your ear to find those notes. So get it in your ear what it's supposed to sound like first, and then use your ear to guide your fingers to the right notes. Let's go 79. Good. And then this spot. So probably better kind of practice that one on its own. So low first there, and then high first. So again, two different notes with the first finger in a pretty quick passage. So that's how you play it, and go over that a few times. Okay, let's take that whole melody and do it again with the metronome, starting at 61. And now that you've maybe kind of learned a little bit about it or worked on it a little bit, why don't you go ahead and play it with me and see which notes are sounding in tune and which notes are not quite sounding in tune, and those are the ones that you need to be working on getting used to as you practice it. So here we go, 61. 1, 2, 3. That last part's really tricky, so you have so much to think about up till there with just getting the fingers in the right place, and then they throw that last thing at you, which is completely different. So let's try it again at 77. And 1, 2, 3. There it is. Yeah, so that spot is probably the trickiest spot in the whole piece, and the good news is you get to play it twice because it's going to come back later when you do the DSL coda. So let's go ahead and continue. I'm going to go ahead and start at measure 83, and the notes for the next line are just maybe a little bit unpredictable, so it's just really important that you count carefully where to put them. And they do fall into a pattern of a note and then a rest and then a note then a rest, but because there's 3 beats in a measure and you've got the rest every other beat, it's not the same in every measure. So here we go. Metronome on again. 83, 1, 2, 3, 1, and 2, 3, 1. All right, let's go ahead and start at 84. And in addition to putting the notes in the right place, we also want to think finger patterns. So starting at 85, we go B and then B flat twice, and then B natural twice, and then G sharp, low first, and then high at first, A. Okay, those are the notes. Let's play it in tempo, starting at 84. And 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, and 2, 3, 1. 2, 3, and 93. Back to 77. Okay, so you're playing a lot of just offbeats on 2 and 3 between 93 and 117. The part that you want to watch out for is when you get to 108. So 107, 1, okay, forte, and 1, 2 instead of 2, 3. So just watch out for that. That's kind of a punctuated moment, and it's the loudest part of that whole spot. Okay, so 117. You are playing melody. You will continue playing melody then with the cellos at 77. And there's no break between there. So you really want to be thinking ahead and making sure that you're finding 77 before it's time to start playing it. Let's go ahead and start at 117. And we'll just keep going. So you go back to 77 to the sign, and then when you get to 90, you play through it, and then you skip to the coda, which is 125. Okay, here we go. 117. 1, 2, 3. 1. Okay, so that's a tricky thing there. Let's break it down. 125, and this is one where it comes right at the coda where you might have just put your eyes on it, and then you have to play something pretty tricky. So there, it's a good idea to memorize the last couple of measures before the coda so you can put your eyes on the hard part before it's time to play it. So finger pattern, high first finger, so high first finger, not just normal first finger, but you're moving the first finger from A up to A sharp. Okay, that's where this low second finger would normally go. So if this is, there's your second finger, here's A natural, the normal A, there's A sharp, right in between. So half step below the second finger, and then a whole step to the third finger between 2 and 3. So open is fine, and then F sharp, G natural. Nothing weird about the fingering on the D string, but the fingering on the G string is probably kind of a new one for you. So, so let's go slow. Okay, let's do that again. 1, 2, 3. Oops, let's try that again. Ready, and. That was it. Ready, 2, 3. Again, and ready, and. Ready, and one more time. And one more time, and. So it's tricky, but you can get it. Practice it slower, and then when we get it up to tempo, let me see if I can do it up to tempo. I know I did it before. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, and. Yep, there it was. Okay, so just really being very clear and methodical about your finger patterns and making sure that you're using good technique, straight wrist here and fingers straight up and down. That will enable them to move around and respond to the messages your ear gives them. Let's go ahead and start right on the coda. And you've got some tricky eighth notes that you're the only ones that play the eighth notes here. Everybody else has quarter notes. 125. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and. 2, 3, 1, 2. 2, 3. Okay, so that's it. 131. Just make sure that you're being really clear how many of each note to play. So. Okay, that's a little bit awkward, but you just have to be prepared for it. Okay, so there you have it. That is Waltz from Sleeping Beauty. Definitely some challenges in the viola part, but also some really fun stuff. And I would say some of these melodies, if you are doing vibrato, feel free to add it, but don't make that your first priority, especially when you're playing the melody down on the C string. Just understand that the C string is kind of the hardest area to play it to use vibrato on, and the notes in that passage are also kind of tricky to play in tune. So always prioritize playing in tune over using vibrato. And someday you will be ready to play that with vibrato and play it in tune. But for now, I'd rather have you think about the finger placement than trying to warm it up with some vibrato. I hope you enjoy playing this piece. Good luck and happy practicing.